The day of Jummah is the most blessed day of the week, and it is the day most loved by Allah Azza wa Jal. In today's Jummah khutbah, I also mentioned some of the fada'il of the day of Jummah, the origin of it. There are a couple things I would like to add to that. First thing is, there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The meaning of that is that a person who shall be closest to me on the day of judgment is the one who sends salawat upon me excessively on the day of Jum'ah. That a person who wishes to sit next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and be closest to him on the day of judgment are those who send salawat upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam excessively on the day of Jum'ah. I know the day of Jum'ah has passed after at the time of Maghrib, but still, this is something to keep in mind, that if you are in a habit to send salawat upon him 10 times a day, then on Jum'ah, we should send 20 times upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And use the words that come in a hadith. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Durood Ibrahim is a very good one. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad and everything. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And all of these words that come from a hadith. We should not add to these words. For example, in normal conversation, we could say, as we say, that Salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana wa Habibana wa Shafi'ana. All of these words are added to honor Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When it comes to specific ibadat and sending the salawat to one Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should only stick to that which we learned from directly Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, without adding anything or taking anything away from it. Excessively on the day of Jum'ah, that person shall be closest to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the first thing. Another thing is very well known amongst the people is that a person who passes away on the day of Jum'ah, or he passes away in the month of Ramadan, will go straight into Jannah without hisab, without reckoning, because Allah has honored the day of Jum'ah. Allah has honored the month of Ramadan so much, and He is blessed that a person who passes away Jum'ah or the Ramadan, they will go straight to Jannah without even hisab. Of course, some of the hadith that mentions things like that are da'if, are weak, while the other hasan and sahih, the other are fair and good. But of course, in fadail, as it has been discussed many times, we take weak hadith as well. A few things about this, first and foremost. Fadail, the virtues, are like painting on top of a building. A person who does not have a building cannot paint anything. These are the fadail. Meaning that a person has to have Islam and Iman first for him to benefit from all of the ahadith of virtues. For example, a person who dies on Friday shall go to Jannah, right? This only applies to a Muslim. How many non-Muslims die on Friday? How many non-Muslims die on Laylatul Qadr? Khayrun min alf shahr. How many of them die? Do they go to Jannah? No. They do not. Why? Because you have to have this first condition fulfilled first. That is to be a Muslim, to be a mu'min. That's the first condition. And that is the building. Once you have the building, but just to have some wood planted straight and given it a structure of a building is not enough. You have to have many of the necessities that are required to make the building livable. Right? You have to have the drywall, the plaster, or whatever. You have to have the fans and the lights. All of these things are a'mal salihah. Meaning that if a person just have the building, but he has not made that building livable, there is nothing to put the paint on. How would he benefit from the fadail? And a person who prays Eid to Eid, a person who gave zakat never in his life, who has no idea what Hajj is, who drinks and eats in the days of Ramadan, and then he dies on Friday, and then he hoped that I go into Jannah without the hisab. So you have the structure, you have the building, but you have to make it livable. You have to have the drywall, everything, so that you could apply in the end the paint. Once you have the amal salihah, the good deeds, you are a Muslim. Now the building is ready to accept the beautiful paint. And now you paint it all you want with all of the fadail. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is a hadith sahih, that ما من مسلم يموت يوم الجمعة أو ليلة الجمعة إلا وقاه الله فتنة القبر. That a person who dies on the day of Jummah or the night of Jummah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would save him from the punishment of the grave. This is a Sahih Hadith. And this is the fazail of the Jummah. Yani, first of all, you have to have state of Islam, you have to be a Muslim. And then some a'mal salihah over there on top of that. And then you hope that Allah will forgive the other sins, Allah will forgive the other shortcomings. And then we accept all of these fadail, hoping in Allah that we go into Jannah without hisab, that we go through the phase and the stage of the barzakh and the grave without being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are all the virtues of the day of Jummah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed this day. And I discussed in these Jummah khutbah that how every single Nabi knew about the importance of this day, yet their ummah, their nations rejected the day of Jummah. They accepted Saturday, they accepted Sunday, but the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam finally was granted. There you go, the day of Jummah. So worship Allah Azza wa Jal in these days. Send salawat upon Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this day. And there is a moment in the day of on the day of Jummah, if a person makes dua, that dua is never rejected. So look out for that. And some of the ulama, they have said in between the khutbah when we sit, that is also that one moment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the du'as. Some of the ulama, they have said from the narrations. So take use and take advantage of those moments in between khutbah. Few seconds are given. You make dua, not loudly, not even quietly, silently. Yani in your heart. Allah knows what goes on in your heart, because you're not allowed to speak during the khutbah, not even quietly. So be silent and use your heart to make dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listens to whatever is in there, and He, inshallah, if Allah wills, He will accept our du'as. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the faith to understand this. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.